I know something that will wake your brain up better and faster than coffee. Yep, it's time to find your magnifying glass.
Oh my god.
Look at this picture attentively. What's wrong here? Each of these 4 people has a slice of pizza in their hands, but only 3 pieces are missing from the pizza box. You have 3 jars that are all mislabeled. One jar contains apples, another contains oranges, and the third jar contains a mixture of both apples and oranges. You are allowed to pick as many fruits as you want from each jar to fix the labels on them. What is the minimum number of fruits that you have to pick and from which jars to correctly label them?
Yeah.
Let's look at this scenario. You pick a fruit from the jar labeled apples and oranges, and you get an apple. That means that the jar should be labeled apples. Now, the jar labeled oranges has to be labeled apples and oranges. As it can't contain oranges, and we've already got the apples jar, a similar scenario applies if it's an orange you take out of the jar labeled apples and oranges. So, you just need to take one fruit from the jar, apples and oranges, to label all the jars correctly. A farmer once challenged an engineer, a physicist, and a mathematician to fence off the largest amount of area using the least amount of fence. The engineer shaped his fence like a large circle and said it was the most efficient way. The physicist made a long line and said that fencing off half of Earth was the best. The mathematician laughed at them and showed his design, which beat the others. What did he do? The mathematician made a small circular fence around himself and declared himself to be on the outside. Every day after work, Jack arrived at the train station at 5 p.m. His wife left home in her car to meet him there at exactly 5 p.m., picked him up, and drove him home. One day, Jack got to the station an hour early and started walking home. He was walking until his wife picked him up along the way. They got home 30 minutes earlier than usual. How long was he walking? The best way to think about this problem is to consider it from the perspective of the wife. Her round trip was decreased by 30 minutes, which means each leg of her trip was decreased by 15 minutes. It means that Jack must have been walking for 45 minutes. Logan is a special agent who's trying to catch a notorious villain. After long months of investigation, he finds the criminal's headquarters. But the door is locked, which is not a surprise really. Logan sees a screen next to the entrance. He touches it, and the display lights up. It must be a riddle. And our special agent needs to solve it to get inside. Add one line to make it right. 9.50 equals I-O-I-O-I-O. Logan cracks the puzzle in no time. What's the answer? $9.50 equals I-O-T-O-I-O.
Oh, yeah.
The door opens and the man steps into a dark corridor. After walking for some time, Logan notices another door. A code lock again! The man also spots a calendar hanging on the wall. At the bottom, there are several letters, M, F, W. After connecting the dots, the special agent figures out the code. What is it? It's 153. The letters stand for the days of the week: Monday, Friday, and Wednesday. Monday is the first day, Friday is the fifth, and Wednesday is the third one.
Oh yeah.
Look at these two families. Which one is fake? What do you think? Well, the family on the right has weird dietary habits. They allow their son to eat the whole cake on his own. But maybe they just don't care about healthy eating. The family on the left, though, seems to be perfectly fine. But have you spotted a USB port covered by the necklace the mother of the family is wearing? She's a robot, and all this family thing is just a joke. Now, look at these prisoners. Who is more likely to escape? Huh, gotcha. Neither of them. The one on the right will be stopped by the prison guard, while the one on the left will end up face to face with these pretty unfriendly dogs. How about these girls? Which one lacks common sense? That was another tricky question. Both of them aren't the brightest bulbs in the chandelier. The one on the left is going to post a photo of her credit card on her social media. And the one on the right is going to share the details of her ID and plane ticket with her followers. That's incredibly unsafe.
Oh my god!
It was the first day of school when the principal's wallet went missing. There were 3 suspects: the gardener, the math teacher, and the coach.
Oh no!
Here's what they said. The gardener was mowing the front lawn. The math teacher was checking the surprise test he'd given his students. And the coach was meeting new people who wanted to join the school's soccer team. Who took the wallet? It was the math teacher. No one gives surprise tests on the first day of school. Look at these women. Can you figure out which one isn't pregnant? It's the woman on the right. Her belly is strangely shaped, and something seems to be moving under her clothes. Ugh, creepy. One day, the emperor asked his general what he should choose if he was offered either justice or a lot of gold. "I'd choose the gold," the general answered without hesitation. The emperor was taken aback.
Oh.
"I would have been disappointed even if this was the choice of a servant," the emperor said. "But coming from you, it's not only disappointing but also shocking and sad." But the general justified his answer to the enraged and hurt emperor without a problem. What did he say? He said that people asked for what they didn't have. "Under your majesty's rule," he then added, "justice is available to everybody. But I am a spendthrift and always short of money. That's why I said I would choose the gold." The answer pleased the emperor, and his respect for the general was restored. The police arrived at a ski resort early in the morning. At night, someone attacked the manager of the hotel, and he was taken to a hospital, still unconscious. The police suspected 3 people: Laura, James, and Arthur, who had arrived the day before. The officers inspected their rooms, and here's what they found. Look at these things attentively and try to understand who attacked the manager. It was Arthur. Look, he doesn't have any warm clothing, which means he didn't come for skiing.
Oh no!
Allison is a big boss in an international company. One day, she's hurrying to an important meeting when she notices the documents she needs haven't been printed out, but she's asked at least 3 of her subordinates to do it. Ian says he's just returned from the supermarket because they've run out of coffee beans. Robert claims he's been terribly busy drafting a new contract. And Alice answers she's been in the kitchen preparing snacks and making coffee for the meeting. Who's actually forgotten about the task and is making up excuses at the last moment? It's Alice. There's no coffee in the office. Then how could she make it? Rich businessman Mr. Hudson had a serious disease and was staying at the best hospital in the city. He was treated with pills invented by a scientist working in that hospital. Mr. Hudson was feeling better and was getting ready to be discharged. But then, one morning, he was found in critical condition. The police had 4 suspects: the cleaner, the businessman's nurse, his assistant, and the scientist. The cleaner said that Mr. Hudson liked when his room was tidy, so she came every day to clean it. The nurse said that she gave Mr. Hudson's injections every morning, and they had even become friends. The scientist was very upset.
His disease was complicated, but we've made such progress. And today, this happened.
And the assistant answered that her boss asked her to bring his favorite sweets every day. And she did just that. Can you figure out who caused the worsening of Mr. Hudson's condition? It was the nurse. Mr. Hudson was treated with special pills. What injections is she talking about?
What?
Harrison was walking home when someone threw something at him and knocked the guy out. When he came round, he found himself in a room with 4 doors and a tiny window. Harrison opened the window, but it was too small for him to squeeze through. Suddenly, the guy spotted a piece of paper lying on the floor. It was a note that said, "Only one door leads outside. The other 3 doors don't lead anywhere. You can try to open just one door and only once. If you don't succeed, all of them will be locked forever." Harrison thought for a while and made the right choice. How did he figure out which door was the one he needed? He opened the window. This created a draft. The guy checked the keyholes and felt some cool air coming from one of them. It was the door to freedom. Detective Sheldon Copper was resting at a beach resort when an unpleasant accident happened there. Someone pushed elderly Mrs. Stevenson into the swimming pool when there was no one around. But this someone didn't know the lady was once the best swimmer at her university, and she never stopped practicing. So it wasn't difficult for her to cross the swimming pool and get out of it at the other side. Sheldon asked the lady if she had seen the attacker. She didn't, but she was sure it was someone who knew she'd just received a huge inheritance. The detective needed to talk to 3 people. They were Mrs. Stevenson's son, Terry, her granddaughter, Gloria, and her niece, Judy. Terry said, "These days, I've been very busy. Something urgent came up at work. I don't even have time to leave my room to go for breakfast or dinner." Gloria asked Sheldon to keep her secret. She was seeing a waiter she had met at a beach cafe. If her relatives found out, they would be furious. And Judy told Sheldon she'd taken a car to go shopping in the city center. Who's lying? Terry. The man looks sunburned. But how can it be if he hasn't left his room for days? Jaden bought a beautiful ring for his girlfriend. He wanted to propose to her at the weekend. He left the ring on his desk at home and went to work. But when he got back in the evening, he didn't find the ring. Only his 3 sisters were at home that day, and none of them liked his girlfriend. He went to question each of them. Mia was in her room. She said she'd spent the whole day there painting the walls. Emily was in the kitchen. She answered that she'd been cooking a birthday cake for her friend. And the youngest, Nora, was in the garden. She said she'd been planting roses. It didn't take Jaden long to figure out who had taken the ring. Do you know who it was? It was Nora. She looks too tidy for a person who was supposedly spending the entire day in the garden.
What?
Plus, she doesn't have any gardening tools. The best player of Julian's volleyball team disappeared right before the game. Julian's main suspects were 3 players from the rival team. Jackson said, "I've just returned from the gym. I was warming up before the competition." Leo had to pick up his wife and daughter from the hospital, and Ryan claimed he'd fractured his leg. And the team doctor was giving him a massage. Who's behind the player's disappearance? It's Ryan. Getting a massage when your leg is broken? Really? Can you figure out the answer to this rebus riddle? The answer is summary. Justin was an archaeologist who explored ancient pyramids. One day, something went wrong, and he ended up locked in a tiny room deep underground. The guy got into the room through a narrow passage. It was blocked by a rock slide several minutes after he'd entered. There was only one other door in the room, but it was locked. To open it, the guy had to solve a riddle. Stand. Try 2. After mulling it over for some time, Justin guessed what it meant. Can you? The answer is try to understand. Detective Taylor came to investigate a tricky case. Someone had pushed a famous basketball player down the stairs, and he ended up in a hospital right before an important game. The detective had 3 suspects, all of them the player's teammates. Connor said he had been cleaning and checking basketballs. Nathan explained that he'd had his lunch, several cheeseburgers and french fries. After that, he went to train. And Julian told the detective he had been getting a massage. His back hurt. Detective Taylor didn't need much more time to figure out who the culprit was. It was Nathan. No one eats such a big lunch before training. Mark came to visit his friend Thomas in his office. While walking along the corridor, he heard his friend shouting. He ran inside and spotted Thomas standing near a girl who was on the floor. "It's my secretary, Linda. I returned from my lunch break and saw her unconscious. Also, my safe was open and very important documents were missing." Another man, Thomas's deputy, entered the room. "Whoa, what happened here? I've been away for 10 minutes at the most. I just went to buy coffee at the nearest cafe." Suddenly, the girl opened her eyes. "I had such a scare. I was working with documents when someone grabbed me from behind. And then, darkness. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't shown up, boss." Mark told Thomas to call the police immediately. Why? If the secretary was unconscious, how did she know it was Thomas who found her? Jack and John are twin brothers. They're robbers, and the police all over the country have been trying to catch them for several years. That's why everyone's happy when one of the brothers gets into a trap after breaking into a wealthy businessman's villa. But police officers have a problem. They can't figure out whether they've caught Jack or John. The brothers are just so similar. The man also refuses to tell them his name. The only thing the detectives know is that Jack always lies and John always tells the truth. How can they find out who the man is by asking him just one question? The question the police officers need to ask is, do you have a brother? If it's Jack, he'll lie and say no. And if it's John, he'll give a positive answer. Matthew wears either only black or only white socks. One evening, he's in a hurry, getting ready for a romantic dinner with his girlfriend. Suddenly, the power goes out. The guy has 10 white and 10 black socks in his drawer, but all of them are mixed. If it's completely dark in the room and Matthew can't see anything, how many socks must he pull out of the drawer to get 2 matching ones? Just 3. In a set of 3 socks, he's bound to have 2 socks of the same color. Milan airport customs officers noticed that one man traveled abroad at least several times a week. They started to suspect he was a smuggler, but couldn't understand what he'd been smuggling. He always had a suitcase or a bag with him, but there was never anything forbidden or expensive inside. Several months later, when a new customs officer joined the team, the mystery was solved. What was it that the man smuggled? He smuggled designer suitcases and bags. You've gotten trapped in a bizarre room. shiny, made of metal and with no windows, and it has 2 doors. One of them leads to freedom. Some danger is looming behind the other. You don't know which door is safe. 2 robots guard these doors. They're ready to allow you to leave through one of the doors, but once you choose a door, you can't change your mind. On the bright side, you can ask one of the robots a single question. But one of them always tells the truth, and the second always lies. Again, you don't know which is which. What question should you ask? If I asked the other robot which door was safe, what would it answer? The honest robot is going to tell you the truth and point at the dangerous door, and the liar is gonna lie and also point at the dangerous door. All you need to do is leave through the other door. Look at this guy. He's fallen asleep right behind the wheel of his moving car. And now he's getting out of the vehicle safe and happy. How did he survive? He was traveling in a self-driving car. The future's here, folks. Now, this girl seems to be in grave danger. She probably doesn't notice that a shark is following her in the water. But just a few minutes later, she's already chilling on the beach, drinking a cocktail. How come? It was another swimmer with a fake shark fin. Look, he's taking off his equipment over there. Oh no, this elderly lady is falling from a skyscraper, but now she seems to be safe, wiping sweat off her brow. Can you figure out what's happened here? Luckily, it was just a dream. Behind the lady's back, we can see her bedroom. Ah! A rock slide! And a huge rock is falling right on this guy. I'm gonna cover my eyes. Huh? How on earth did he survive? He's Superman. See that tiny logo on his t-shirt? It's getting more and more nerve-wracking. Now, a wild bear seems to be attacking this man from behind. Wait, and now the man is laughing hard. What made him so happy? It was just another guy in a Halloween costume. Have you noticed this zipper? Ugh, this tightrope seems to be very high above the ground. Watch out, bro! Oh no! He's slipped and fallen from the rope. But in this picture, he looks totally unharmed. What magic is this? This guy is an acrobat performing in a circus, so he fell into a safety net. The manager of a ski resort has gone missing. The police suspect 3 people that are staying at the hotel. Unfortunately, no one can find any of these people. They're probably on the slopes, skiing. The police officers have no time to waste and decide to examine their rooms. Look at the suspect's stuff and say who's responsible for the disappearance of the manager. It's Joyce. He's the only one who doesn't have warm clothes or winter sports gear and equipment. It means he didn't come to the resort to have some fun. In the 22nd century, robots live among people, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. But sometimes they resemble people so much it makes detectives work way harder. Like this time, Eric Blank, an experienced police officer, has to figure out which of these 3 suspects is guilty of identity theft. He knows for sure the culprit is a robot, but who isn't human? It's the girl in the middle. She has a USB port on the side of her neck. Kyle lived on the 6th floor of an apartment building. Once, the man was having his coffee on the balcony. Suddenly, he spotted a woman on the 8th floor of the building across the road. She opened the window and threw something with great force. In no more than a minute, Kyle jumped to his feet and ran to call the ambulance. They arrived soon and rushed the woman to a hospital. What did she throw out of the window? A boomerang!
Maya is a witch. She's been looking for her missing cat all morning. Can you help her? The cat is over here. Maya is heading to her best friend Sandra. She brings her something delicious. It looks square from the outside, but it looks round when opened. Also, it looks like a triangle when taken out. Can you guess the name of the food? It's a pizza. On the way, Maya decides to take a new route. She finds herself in the middle of an unfamiliar street and sees some cute little houses. All except 2 are blue. Also, all except 2 houses are red and all except 2 are purple. Can you figure out how many houses of each color are present on that street? Let's focus on the first 2 statements. We can fairly assume that 2 houses are not red and 2 houses are not blue. Now, one of those houses that are not red can be blue. Similarly, one of the non-blue houses can be red. If we remember the third statement, that all except 2 houses are purple, we can conclude that the street has only 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 purple house. Maya enters Sandra's kitchen. Can you count the exact number of frogs in this location? "13. This one is just a picture. Sandra shows Maya 2 pictures of her sisters. Ella lives alone, while Elsa lives with her fiancé. Can you guess which one is Elsa? It's the first lady. She has 2 towels in her bathroom, while Ella only has 1. Maya asks Sandra, can you make the sum of 60 by using 3 times the same number? Sandra replies, easy, 20 plus 20 plus 20. But there's one more way to do so. Can you figure it out? The other way is 55 plus 5. Maya needs help in her magic shop, so she invites Harry for a job interview. When Harry arrives, he looks pretty nervous. So Maya offers him some hot coffee. She puts the cup in front of him and asks, "What's before you?" Harry replies, "Tea." After hearing the answer, Maya hires this candidate immediately. Can you guess why? If the answer was coffee, Maya would never have asked such an easy question. She meant the alphabet U, the letter T, comes before a U. That's why Maya is impressed by Harry's answer. Harry shows Maya 3 cards from a standard deck face down. He says, to the left of the queen, there are 1 or 2 jacks. To the right of the jack are 1 or 2 jacks. To the right of the club, there are 1 or 2 diamonds. To the left of the diamond are 1 or 2 diamonds. Can you guess what the 3 cards are? The Jack of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds, and Queen of Diamonds, or Jack of Diamonds, Jack of Clubs, and Queen of Diamonds. Maya tells Harry, Let me show you some focus pocus too. I can make the number 1 disappear by adding something to it. Can you guess how? She needs to add a letter G before 1, and it will be gone. Simple. Maya leaves her magic shop to get some lunch. In a while, she returns and finds Harry unconscious on the floor in the storage room. She calls doctors and questions 3 persons standing nearby. Billy says, "I was checking out the shelf with love potions when I heard weird noises from the storage. But I didn't bother. I thought Harry just dropped some stuff." Scarlet says, "I came here to buy the missing ingredient for my revenge potion. I don't have time for this." And Bella says, "I came here for red candles, but the seller was absent." Can you guess what happened here? Take a look at Scarlet's recipe. The missing ingredient is a spider. Harry got bitten by a venomous spider when he tried to get it out of this broken jar. There's a tiny bite on his right arm. Next Sunday, Maya receives a call from Sandra at 7 a.m. Sandra is very excited because she had found a recipe for an immortality potion in her library. Maya arrives at Sandra's house at 10 a.m. and finds her lying unconscious on the floor. All her books are gone. Maya calls the police. The detective arrives immediately and questions 3 suspects. Sandra's husband, Frank, says, "I'm a school teacher. I haven't been home all morning because I had 4 classes on my schedule." Shelley, the housekeeper, says, "I had a day off and spent time with my boyfriend." And Bob, the gardener, says, "I've been planting roses in the backyard all morning. I haven't even entered the house yet." After hearing all 3 stories, the detective knows exactly who's a liar. What about you? Frank is lying. He said he'd been at school, but schools are closed on Sundays. Thankfully, Maya saved a screenshot with the recipe on her phone. Now she's making a potion for Sandra. Unfortunately, the last 4 ingredients in the recipe are encoded. Here's the first one. It's a fruit that is always sad. Can you figure it out? It's a blueberry. Also, she needs to add something that has an ear but cannot hear. Any ideas what it might be? Corn. The next one is a cheese that is made backward. Eat 'em. And the final ingredient is a room that you can eat. Maya needs to add a mushroom. Maya is visiting Sandra in the hospital. She gives her the magic potion, and Sandra gets well immediately. On the way back, Maya meets 3 doctors in the lobby, but only one of them isn't fake. Can you guess who? The first doctor is wearing a dirty coat, but it doesn't prove that he's a fake. Meanwhile, this handsome bearded doctor has a picture of a woman on his badge, which means that he had stolen someone else's pass. As for the third person, she's wearing colorful nail extensions, which is against common sanitary rules, so she can't be a doctor. Maya runs away from the imposters and finds herself in a creepy abandoned part of the hospital. Finally, she sees 3 doors, but each door is hiding some danger. There's a werewolf hiding behind the first door. There's a wicked wizard waiting for Maya behind the second door. And there's a magical portal leading to a black hole behind the third door. Can you help Maya choose the safest option to escape? She should choose the first door. Look out the window. It's a new moon. Werewolves are only dangerous on a full moon. Maya escapes successfully and calls her sister Wendy, who lives in a village. Wendy says, "Come over and we'll figure it out." Maya boards a train. Maya notices these 4 passengers. One of them is a famous thief. Can you guess who? This elegant lady is a thief. The first guy is reading about her crimes in his newspaper. Finally, Maya arrives at Wendy's house. She spots one odd detail about this place right away. Can you see it too? It's too risky to leave the iron in such a dangerous position. Maya enters the living room and spots 2 weird details. What about you? Take a closer look at the calendar. There's no June 31st. Also, this chair only has 3 legs. Maya starts to suspect that Wendy is under a spell. To test her logical thinking, she offers her this riddle. There are 8 brothers that look alike. They're considered to be weak, yet they protect the king in every battle. If they move ahead, they never turn back. Who are they? Wendy failed to crack this riddle. What about you? The 8 brothers are pawns in the chess game. After a long search, Maya finds a spell that will break all black magic, but it's locked in this safe that requires a 7-digit code. Can you help Maya open the safe? There are exactly 7 books on the shelf above the safe. It's a hint. Each book has a Roman numeral on its spine. So, the code is 2113542.